guys, I'm Rori, and you are listening to Rori's Room, the podcast where we discuss anything and everything life throws at us. Welcome to Season 3 More Than Just a Job. I am sitting down with creatives and professionals who are chasing and shaping the work that they have always wanted to do. This season is all about sharing different perspectives from different fields and revealing just how those paths might have changed them along the way. This week, we are sitting down with artist and designer Sienna Frome, a UW-Stevens Point BFA graduate of Interior Architecture and Design. Sienna is a master of the DIY lifestyle, from home improvement with her Milwaukee tools to macrame and more. Without further ado, let's meet Sienna. How are you, Sienna?
I'm doing great this morning. Thank you for having me on your podcast this morning. I'm so excited to be here.
Of course. I've been looking forward to this one for so long. I'm really excited to hear about your story today. So one thing I like to do on this podcast is a thing I like to call weekly favorites. And it's where we talk about a podcast or a song that we've been listening to lately or that we could listen to forever. And one thing we can get behind versus one thing we can't. So if you would like to start us off, what is one song or podcast that has your eye lately?
I was thinking about this for a little bit, and I think a song that meant a lot to me would be, it's called Mind by Diplo, and it's like a new style song, it has like an upbeat, and I think that like the vibes are like really chill though, but I also find it like catchy and kind of motivating because like the lyrics, they kind of repeat, most songs do, but it says it won't work. Like, you push me to the point of crazy, and I'm just going to show you how to love again. And that could be taken in so many different ways. And that's really, really kind of meant something to me. I feel like that one kind of stuck.
I don't think I've ever actually heard that song, but I really appreciate that, like, you're digging deep into those lyrics. I feel like so many people I sometimes do this too, but I listen to music for like vibes and stuff. But like, there will be times where I'll really listen in to the lyrics and I'm like, wow, that's really impactful. Like if you've ever heard of Swan Upon Leda by Hozier.
I've heard of Hozier, but I don't think I've heard that song.
That was a song that I listened to on repeat in 2023, and it was so good. I think I talked about it in one of my past podcasts, but I think there's one piece of lyric where it's like a grandmother smuggling meds to get to her grandkid. It really hinted me towards like Warren with everything going on. Like it really like put things into perspective. And I don't know if it was intended to do that, but I feel like with music like Hozier and Noah Kahan, I feel like there's always so many different perspectives in that music where you could take it really anywhere. But that's not my recommended song. However, I could go into detail for that forever. But one song that I've been listening to lately is Love to Hate Me by Mary Jo. It's about being judged and misunderstood by others who, I'm sure we're all familiar with it, project their own insecurities onto others. And this song really reflects the experience of being talked about, criticized, or resented for just being yourself, and really choosing not to let that impact your personality and confidence. Rather than responding with anger, it leans into a quiet self-assurance and really tells a story of how important it is to not let people define you and their actions define you. And I don't know if you've read it or not, but I'm a big advocate for the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. Have you read that?
No.
I really think you should. I think you'd really like it. And there's this character in it named Nesta, and ever since the beginning of the series, she's kind of been not the antagonist, but like a supporting character that like not everybody likes. And from the very beginning, I've always really liked her character and really been intrigued by her complexity. And I feel like this song really represents her because she went through some stuff and had the courage to turn her life around despite all the negativity flowing from both around her with her peers and in her. And I feel like I represent myself a lot in this character too. Like we really resonate with her, and I don't know, I definitely recommend you read it for sure, but that's a whole different category. I think this is a really good song. I've never heard anything from Mary Jo before. She's actually one of the artists that I have been seeing, like I see a lot of Instagram ads. So like every time I'm swiping through like stories, like every other story is like a music ad. And weirdly, it's always stuff that I'm listening to, like a vibe that I like to listen to. So I usually always add it to my like songs. Since we're done with the little icebreaker section, I thought that we should start with like early creativity and independence, how you started and stuff like that. And I thought, what better to touch on than little Sienna? What did a hands-on designer look like for you as a kid? Was there a specific thing like a toy drill that you had in your hand or anything, or something you just really liked to do at a young age?
Sure. Back on my little Sienna days. So I suppose mostly, and we're gonna go like kindergarten age. So that's like,
thank God, I've been looking forward to that, honestly.
So like a kindergarten, first grade era, the time of my life, great days. So back then I can remember that I like always looked forward to art class. I can remember that even when I was very young, I had made this picture. It was like of a snow bear. You had to like tear the snow bear. Oh, polar bear. You had to tear the circles of the polar bear and kind of glue them on the paper to make like the body, and then like little snowflakes. And it was supposed to be like a polar bear through a blizzard.
Snow bear.
Yeah. And I remember that got accepted to be displayed in the clinic art gallery. And I still remember that. And I'm curious where that picture is, because I remember it was a good one. But I suppose, like, looking forward to art class, I have that memory from such a young age, and that has kind of like followed with me, kind of like growing up. And I suppose if we were to like fast forward to like grade school, like fifth, sixth grade, sixth grade in elementary school. There we go. I suppose young Sienna, okay, we're a couple years older now. I would look forward to would be like, very much like making like little bracelets or like little crafts, or just kind of, being like my foot in the door, exposed into like crafting.
Exactly.
Not knowing how much was going to explode in my, we could say, adult life, but that's what it was, having the scissors and having like all the little strings and all the colors. Yeah. So the whole like duct tape crafts trend that was going on in that time, I was very much a part of it. I was in it deep. So I would be in my bedroom, like it didn't even start in my bedroom. Like before that, I just like was like tearing duct tape and putting it together like in the living room, like, watching TV, just like making stuff, seeing what I can do with it. So it got into me making duct tape wallets, making duct tape roses, or just like bags. I definitely made a handful of like duct tape bags, in different colors.
Those always really impressed me. Like that had to have a lot of work going into that bag.
Kind of.
And tape, of course.
Like tape, and you just kind of like overlap them to make like a panel of tape. And then you do that like on top, so it's like not sticky, 2 of them. And then you just kind of duct tape it and duct tape bag.
Amazing.
When I was thinking about this, about talking about it, I wanted to mention that, like I said, like many colors, I wanted to have all the colors. I didn't know what I was going to make. I was young and I would put all of my rolls of duct tape up both of my arms, and that's how I would carry them around the house. If I was going from like my bedroom to the living room, or if I needed like 3 or 4 colors, I just load them up on my arm. I just carry them on my arm. And then, like you got stiff arms because it's full of tape. You can't bend them. That's just something like, it's such a kid's thing to do. And if they would
that's
still
a picture I'd love to see.
I would definitely still do it. But, that's just something to mention, if it, it's a bracelet. So yeah, I thought that was a fun memory to share.
Were you a kid that I feel like a lot of artists and like people who were really creative as kids understand this. Were you a kid that got like the same craft or like crafts like for every single Christmas gift? Like I feel like if you're an artist, like you kind of get branded as that. So like for Christmas, did you get like markers and stuff like that? Or was it like, did you have like a variety of different Christmas gifts?
No, I would say for the better part, like for like receiving gifts, I can't recall off the top of my head ever like receiving like a whole bunch of supplies for a time, but maybe that's because of usually I would just always ask my parents, can we go to Menards so I can get this new color? So
I loved Menards as a kid.
So I would mostly just kind of like buy it as I would need it, and then I'd have it. So, and at the same time, like, how are they supposed to know what shade of blue duct tape that I want? Unless I was like talking about it for like 3 months straight, then maybe they would remember. But something like that, no, I would just go and buy.
Was there, like, you were mentioning like your art classes and stuff. Was there a specific like teacher that you can remember that really impacted your career in art and like passion for it at all?
I can't remember my arts teachers' names, but I can remember being in the room. I can remember, you know, a whole bunch of projects that I've done, you know, like throughout, you know, school, you know, the whole time. I wouldn't say that there would be like one specific art teacher that helped like motivate me or like influence me to like continue on what I'm doing. But I guess because in elementary school, grade school, you only really have like a short amount of time with that teacher, like a day. And then like different schools, like maybe you'll like the next year you'll get a different art teacher, or like, you know, you have art class like once a week for 45 minutes. You know, that's not really like enough time to really like gain a relationship with someone, especially when you're young. Like, how are you supposed to know that? You know, your second grade art teacher is going to be like such an important thing in your life. So I can't recall art teacher wise, but you know, I have like, you know, favorite teachers that I've had, definitely, and a few that I feel like really did something to impact me in a positive way, for sure. Yeah.
Since we're on the topic of like people, how did your support system growing up affect your career in art and design? Like your parents, the people you were around, the people in school, and especially you grew up in like a rural town, right?
Yeah, kind of not like a big city, but not a small city either. It's kind of like a town. I'm gonna say city. It's a city in between two bigger cities, but there's not like a super direct highway to get there. So it's like people kind of drive on the highway to get to the next town. So you just kind of have to like know it. So, but I wouldn't say it would be like a small population. It definitely had, I mean, it has, I'm gonna round up, it's like 20,000 people. So it's like a good size amount. It's not like you drive past it, you blink and you miss it. There's definitely a good amount of people that live there, and I feel like the location is good, aside from the distance it takes to get to the bigger cities, but is a hike in every direction. You know, you said like support system, like going up like through school creatively. Yeah. Okay. I feel like high school was, I would say, kind of a turning point for things, because like little Sienna's growing up, you know, you get pressured with like having to like make a choice in high school, like what do you think you're gonna do when you grow up? You know, like what direction like are you gonna go? What are you interested in? Where are you gonna go to school? What kind of job do you want? What's your dream job? Can you make it happen? Kind of an idea. And, you know, that's the better part of what high school is there for. It's kind of like those last minute like tips and tricks that teachers are able to like, well, not tips and tricks, okay, because they're not so personable like that, but like overall knowledge. You should know these things, because who knows if you're gonna ever be in a school again, kind of a thing, you know. Mm-hmm. So they try and shape you to help you be in the best position you can be for whatever your future is. So in high school, I took woodworking class, and I took that for like 4 years, and that was an odd thing of me. Personally, I didn't think it was odd at all. I took an interest to it. I liked working with wood. I thought it was just like so cool, the different things you can do with it, you know, all the tools involved, and like you have to know what you're doing to make what you're wanting to make, you know, like there's hands-on skills involved, like maybe there's some like calculations, you know, there's some mathematics to it, you know, for cutting things and being safe. You know, there's like little things that you just kind of have to be aware of. So I really took an interest in woodshop, and I say that's kind of like an oddball thing to do, because my senior level woodshop class, it was like an extended hour, so it was like 2 hours instead of like well, it was closer to 2 hours rather than 45 minutes. And by the time graduation came up, we had like a graduation ceremony like just for the woodshop, just like congratulations, right. You guys made it, capstone level, you guys got it kind of a thing. I was one of 2 girls in this class, and the rest of them, maybe there was like 12 boys or so. And I was the shortest one. I have a picture of me up on the stage. I was most definitely the shortest one. I kind of stuck out like a sore thumb compared to all these, these dudes, a lot of country guys, bigger dudes, regardless, it doesn't matter if they're, town or city or town or country people, and I didn't think it was weird. I did not think it was weird, not at the slightest. I felt so comfortable up on that stage as like a outsider, like looking in. They'd be like, what is she doing up there? I was proud to be up there, and I wouldn't say in any way that I was meant to be there. I'm just gonna say it like that.
I commend women in like male-dominated fields. Like the pressure is always there regardless of how passionate you are in the field. Like I feel like there's always a pressure that you're in like a guy's job. Like especially like if you're grown up like as a tomboy, like you're supposed to be like super girly, and I'm like, I don't want to wear a dress, like I'd rather wear pants so I can do stuff. And like I was always a kid that was like running around, like I would spend all night outside like getting muddy. I always found it super nice doing stuff like that. So like I don't think film's really like a male-dominated field. However, there are a lot more men in a lot of degrees, I think. But like, unless like, it's like, I feel like a lot of women get like sucked into like women-dominated fields, and like it can be really scary to like go into male-dominated fields. So I really commend you on that. I feel like this is like the perfect degree that you're supposed to be into though. 'Cause like you're just such a creative person, and I feel like I've always loved woodworking, and I wish I would have pursued it more in high school. Like growing up, I grew up in Stratford, so it's like outside of Marshfield, and like we were lucky if they had like one extracurricular besides like Spanish. So like when I moved to Chippewa Falls, I wanted to pursue more, but like considering I was like a junior and everyone had like their friend groups, I was kind of like intimidated, so I kind of just like stuck to myself, which I really wish I would have got more involved. But like it's classes like woodworking that I really, really appreciate in terms of like stemming your career and like what you're passionate about.
And that's what it comes down to, like feeling confident in your interests to be able to be comfortable in a setting, like that, like I so described. And it takes a certain kind of like mentality to like be okay with that and for it not to bother you. And it comes down to, hey, I'm interested in this. Like, I don't care if you think I shouldn't be here. I'm good at it, and I can do it just as good as what somebody else can. So what's the problem? It comes down to like being confident in yourself and just kind of like believing in yourself in a way, if taking an interest in what you're interested in and kind of standing by it, even if you're trying something for the first time. It takes a certain level of like comfort to be able to kind of like try something for the next time. And I'm guilty of this. I'm very comfortable in what I know, and it's not experiencing new things that I have a problem with. It's actually getting there because it's very nerve-wracking to do things that you're not so good at, and to put yourself in a position next to someone that like could be very good at it, and then you feel bad. And so like, it's just like that whole idea of it, and that's why people are so worried about going out and trying new things or kind of being that weirdo, is because like people, like you're already nervous, you don't know what you're doing, you want to like learn, but it takes like people to be accepting to like help others just kind of learn, and to be a part of it too, and it's putting that hand out, be like, hey, like you're new, here, let me show you what to do or where to go or how you do it, and that's that comes down to just being a kind
decent
person.
human being. Yeah.
person and to just be accepting of like, hey, we can't all be professionals all the time, you know?
How did moving from that environment that you grew up in and like devoted your career to as a beginning, like how did that shift and impact your growing beliefs of art and making it your career, I guess?
I feel like small town vibes are more accepting of the arts and the creative passions because it's a small town. In a way, smaller towns are more reliant on their small townness because that's what they have. That's you know.
Right.
I guess shifting towards the big city living, moving from small town. Oh, it was a shift. Let me tell you. Personally, the different kind of people out here, and I stand behind that because I feel like small town vibes, like they're very like welcoming, kind of, you know, warm, you know, inviting, just like including, you know, something is like an example of like, you know, grandma made cookies, come on over. It's okay, just buy, you know, just something as simple, or like, you know, here's a dish of food or something, or like, hey, I'm going to Walmart, like, you're bored, come with me, you know, something, you know, like, yeah, let's do it. Hey, let's be a part of this. Let's do it together. And another thing is to just like creatively problem solve. I feel like that's also like small town vibes. Like you also have to deal with what you got. You can't be going down to like fancy Target if your town doesn't have a Target and it's a half an hour away. You have to, you know, get what you're wanting at, you know, other places. You know, you have to make do with what you got. So small town vibes are, you know, more in the like bodiness, wholesome. There we go. That's the word. More kind of wholesome in that sense. And moving here to bigger city, I don't even know what wholesome is in this place. I don't see it. I don't know what it is. It's hard to find. Being an artist here without having that welcomingness, that acceptingness, especially as an artist, there's like, I mean, it's infamous, struggling artist, or like, you know, you're not gonna make something of yourself artist, you know, that's just kind of goes hand in hand. Like, what's an artist gonna, you know, what are you gonna do? Like have a career making art? Like, yeah, that's kind of the idea. Not solely, I mean, I have a job too, but that's like the overarching idea is like, no, artists can't be successful. You can. It's hard. It's definitely hard. I mean, it's definitely hard, but it's just kind of just continuing doing what you enjoy, you know, and just putting yourself out there, you know, like I said, like I get nervous, you know, like going out to new places because there's definitely so many places I want to go to. But if I've been here for, I mean, it's been here for about a year. It's been a year, almost like today. It's been a year like today that I've lived in Green Bay. And I just really haven't felt the like trusting, wholesome friendship with people, just like that welcoming hand, that invitation of like, hey, you know, like you're the new person, you're the new girl in town, and you like, hey, like come with me to go do this, or you know, do you want to ride with me to do that? Or I would ask them like, hey, like what's a good place, or you know, like what would you suggest to get food or something like this. I feel like I can't say 100%, but for the better part of things, I feel like I haven't really have had somebody kind of put their self out there for my level of like really believing them. And also also on just like the level, like they can't relate with me. And that has been a huge struggle because, you know, like I am forced to be self-reliant and dependent on myself for everything that I do, regardless of what it is. Not having like a good experience being the new person in town. The only thing that I really have going for myself currently is like just staying strong and just like, you know, like not changing who I am to try and fit in with these people, because why would I want to do that? Because that's not the type of person I am, you know?
Right.
And just, you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared for this in a variety of senses. But, you know, if problems occur or like you forget something at the store, like you forgot your bread, You can't call your buddy down the street to go get that. You have to go get it yourself. Or like if something breaks, like, do you have the super glue to fix it? You know, all those like little things that those hiccups that happen. I mean, that's just life that happens. But it's just trying to, you know, be prepared the best as you can. For, you know, for me, because I am kind of like very independent person, so maybe it's just a part of my personality. It's the, you know, it's the trusting yourself, being prepared as well as you can, and just not like defaulting into like the greater, like the people that I said that like aren't welcoming, aren't inviting. Like, why would I want to be like them just to fit in when that's not who I am, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of like my overall like input on like the shift, you know? Stand up for yourself, like stay strong, like have a few people that you're able to like depend on and so you can still feel supported while, you know, trying new things, you know, because, you know, moving here was a big jump. I tried a new thing, you know, I moved away from my family and mostly everyone that I know because I wanted to make something of myself, whether it's career in the art field, you know, new friends, new connections, new experiences. I wanted that for myself, and that's why I moved. I wanted something new. And my first time living in a different city from my hometown, and I graduated college, is the perfect opportunity, perfect timing to do so. So I went for it, and I got questioned, and I definitely have had some negative feedback on like, you know, why would you go and do that? You know, you have to pay for this, you have to pay for that. And I'm like, I understand. Duh. Yeah. You think I haven't thought about these things? Like, I'm moving because I'm ready, you know? So, you know.
Is Green Bay a good place for the arts, do you think?
Getting into it. So there is definitely like, I'm gonna like use like my craft, right? So like there's definitely like pop-up shows, craft shows, like markets. I find on Facebook events, like there's plenty of like things, you know, like to do. For me, it's just the timing of things just doesn't work out with my work schedule or like what day it is and if I'm in town and anything like that. Like there's things to do for sure. I've talked to just a few people and they've helped me. Like I asked someone recently because she said she was having classes, or she asked me if I would attend this event that she's hosting. And I said, yeah, absolutely, I'll go. And I asked her, I'm like, hey, if I'm interested in teaching macrame classes in person, do you know of locations where I could, possibly host something like this? And I was so grateful that she responded and, and she gave me options of places that I could look into. People here, yeah, grateful for her. I'm slowly kind of like learning places, kind of being able to quickly determine whether this person's going to like be supportive of me in a good way or like just don't care attitude. Yeah. If it's like a don't care attitude, I don't really care either. It's like, well, you're not seeming like a good person. I don't say good person, a good friend to me. So I just don't think I want to be friends with you, and just making that decision quickly because it will save you frustrations and stress down the way.
Being that individual, like kind of having to do it yourself and figure it out yourself, how does that mentality show up in your work today in the arts, besides just like being an artist in the new city?
Sure, it definitely shows up frequently. So I make a lot of stuff. So I am that neighbor that goes out to my garage and I'm hanging out in my garage fixing a shelf for like 3 hours with like my lights on. I got, Sharpies, material. I'm trying to cut this thing. I'm struggling. I was struggling. This is a real example. But like, like my neighbors, they can view the garages from their apartment. And I just wonder sometimes, like, if they're ever going to stop out and say hi, or like, what you doing? Or like, do you need a hand? Because it looks like I definitely know what I'm doing. I definitely didn't. But it's the troubleshooting, it's just going out and trying it, doing it, going for it. It's just making it happen. Just making it happen. That's what it
Absolutely. I think that's what you need to do in the arts too. I feel growing up, like I always had a passion for film and stuff, and I really actually got like pro at Windows Movie Maker, which is like, if you know anything about like video editing, it's like, it was free software that I used as a kid, and I like knew the ins and outs of this thing, like how to make it like the best possible thing. But like at the same time, I was like, I don't know if I could actually do this as a job. So I kind of just like faked it until I made it. And I found one thing that has really helped me do that was just kind of giving myself a title, like filmmaker, even though I had never made films before, not really, but like once you kind of like give yourself the confidence and like the interest in knowing what you're doing, you kind of just like figure it out along the way. And then I think that really correlates with like the do-it-yourself attitude, because no one else was going to give me that title until I gave myself that title, you know? And that really inspired me to go to college and then getting all these steps and like getting an actual title, which is really crazy.
You know, kind of giving yourself your own title for something that, you know, you specialize in. It feels good.
Yeah, it does.
You know, even if it's, you know, it seems silly, but like, you're giving yourself a title for a reason. And that reason is because you've taken such an interest in something, or you feel like you've become so good at a particular thing that, you know, you're giving yourself a title because you feel you deserved it.
Right. In terms of the pandemic, it's a big thing. And I feel like people sometimes forget that the pandemic affected more than just the high school kids. And I mean, I was a senior, but like it didn't really affect me the same as like other high school kids. And I think a lot of the perspectives besides high school aren't really touched on. So I'd love to hear how the pandemic affected you in the early stage as a hands-on business savvy artist.
A creative person. I loved the pandemic. And I know that sounds really terrible. It really, really does. And health-wise, it's devastating. Creative-wise, being stuck in the house on days on end for weeks on end, oh, it was amazing. I had a blast. That sounds silly, but that was my experience of it, okay? I
love it.
All day, making crafts, enjoying my many days off, having fun going outside, playing with my dog, attending to my garden, and because I make plant hangers, okay, I became so into gardening and planting and soils and like getting like my flowers to look good and like taking the time to like go and water each plant, go up to each plant hanger, and just really and this was I think the pandemic happened like in February-ish. But then it got like affected like in the spring or summer. So it was great weather outside.
It was beautiful, I remember.
Oh, I mean, that's the point in time of which I remember the most was the good weather, being at home. You know, I mean, I lived in a house at the time, you know, having my tools out, making renovations, you know, fixing stuff. And like I said, like, my dog, my plants, my crafts, my tools, the colors, the good weather. That's how I experienced COVID.
You said you started macrame in the pandemic.
Yes.
What made macrame stick out compared to the countless other crafts that you like to do?
So I'm not 100% certain on how I came across macrame. Most educated guess would be I was scrolling on Facebook and came across a piece that I thought was cool, and I was like, well, I think I can make that. So I don't know, I just tried it and I ended up taking a huge interest into it. And during COVID, I really kind of took that time to learn the craft, and I was so invested into it. I didn't really want to watch like videos on how to do it or how like technique of it or things like that. Like I learned from books because that's how much I really wanted to learn it myself. I mean, I'd love to give credit to the people on YouTube that teach people, but I didn't learn from them. I mean, I still periodically watch some videos on how to do something specific, but I really think it's like a proud moment to say that I am really self-taught myself on how to do this. And yeah, the whole time that we were off for COVID it was the whole learning period. I mean, I've been doing this it's 2026 now, so So
Isn't
like
it crazy how long it's been since the pandemic?
I know, it's so crazy.
I think about it a lot because it's been like over half a decade. Just crazy.
Yeah, I started learning macrame, let's say like 4 months prior to starting my first semester at college. So and also my first semester at college, being still COVID regulations of things, was a struggle for me, like technology wise. I'm not so into like keeping up with emails and setting up the camera and setting up the microphone like last minute. Like I have no experience with this. What are you even talking about? You know, in taking the super high quality photos that I need to submit, or, you know, taking a video and feeling comfortable like recording myself. My first semester with the technology was a struggle, and I was like, this is dumb. I'm gonna make some art, you know, like when I'm not doing homework, like getting frustrated with my computer. I'm gonna relax and make some macrame. And yeah, so I kind of started school and macrame at the same time. And I can say that like each year that went by, like new skills or like new kind of lessons kind of figured themselves into my learning process.
Yeah, I feel like definitely being like a self-taught artist definitely helps with like the learning process, like you were saying. And I feel like it's kind of mostly just really fits in with the do-it-yourself attitude. Like you really need to learn it, especially like even if you just learn from like the coursework that you're provided. If you don't go really above and beyond and really want to learn what you're learning, it doesn't really stick, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I do think that's why a lot of people are unhappy in their fields, is because they actually don't enjoy what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But what kind of materials did you use? Like, is there a specific like brand or anything that you like to use for like yarn and stuff?
Sure. So you're asking me on like essential supplies to begin the craft.
Right.
I'd say buying cord. So that's like the string, you know, the string, but it's cotton cord would be number one essential. Scissors, absolutely. Any kind of like beads, though not necessary, but you know, it's for accessories to make it look pretty. And I'd say like wooden rings or metal rings, and just kind of like any little like
stylistic choice.
Yes, like even little like stationary stuff like masking tape, like markers. Like it doesn't seem like it's essential, but like it is to a point. Yeah. But I'd say just like the string, it would be number one.
How did working with like basic materials and stuff help you and shape your creativity as you grew more experience? Like as you got better at making macrame, how did your materials change?
My materials and tools have multiplied. That's really what has happened. I buy most of my supplies. Actually, that's kind of a question. So some of my supplies, the cord I buy on Amazon because it's the best price, and I've experimented with different types of strings, cords, like ropes, and I think that the stuff that I buy works the best. As for like the little stuff, like the rings, the hooks, the beads, I mean, you can kind of get that at any store in their craft section. Because I've been doing it for so long, I like to buy things more cost effectively, more in bulk, because I'm gonna use them. And I also like variety. I definitely like variety because then that allows me to make different things, you know, different ideas, or being creative is just kind of making it as you go.
Exactly.
So I try to be cost effective when buying supplies, because it seems like a small purchase, you know, $5 for a big jar of beads.
They last a while.
Yeah, they last a long time. But then at the same time, if you could spend $5 and buy like 3 times the amount of beads if you buy it online, and if you can wait a week, I'd rather do that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of
exactly.
a toss-up. That's a toss-up question. I buy my supplies wherever I see best to buy it.
That leads me into your physical storage. I feel like as a physical artist, I'm very interested into how you keep such like your apartments aren't always the biggest unless you have a lot of money to spend. So what does your physical storage system look like, and how do you keep it contained?
Sure. I love that you asked me that question, because that is an everyday battle. And
yeah, I feel like I have like
I'm
painting
glad
stuff and materials all over my house.
that you're understanding that it is a physical craft. Physical crafts take up physical space. So you have to really just kind of like have things everywhere. That's really what it is. But just be organized enough to know where those things are. I am a crafter. I mean, I'm a designer. I'm a DIY girl. I'm prepared. So I have craft supplies, tools, colors, beads, markers, and like my little apartment is art class in itself. I have tools everywhere. I was on the phone with my friend last night and he was asking me a question and he said, "How close are you to a tape measure?" And I'm like, "An inch away. What's up?" Because like I just have these things like within an arm's reach at almost every spot in my apartment. Do I have like an eraser or a pencil or a tape measure, a scissors? Like I have a lot of stuff.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely get that. Like storage is like, especially living in an apartment and not a house, when you can like really just design your own workspace. That's something I feel like all artists want in their dream home, is just like a place that they can work. But like
definitely.
I don't even paint that much. I mean, I do occasionally, but like because painting is a part of my life, I have painting supplies all over my apartment. And it's like sometimes I want to put them all in one place, but like there's never a spot to put all of them, you know, like unless I have an entire room, it's not gonna work. And if I do put it all in one spot, it's just gonna look way more out of place than if I have them scattered across my apartment, you know?
Yes. I can relate. I want to add too, though, a part of like my whole, this is like getting kind of more into like my designing point of view of things rather than like the creating. Well, kind of both, but yeah, the bigger idea is like the designing part. So a huge, like, I'm gonna say like mission statement of mine, let's say, is multi-purpose or multifunctional furniture design creation item of any which way. If you're able to use this thing for more than one purpose, or like to have it like compactable, foldable, like so it takes up less space, so it's like hidden or like stored easily, so it like has more than one incentive to buy. Let's do it like that. Because like, okay, so like the shelf over here, okay, 1, it's a decor. 2, it's a shelf to put other little things on. That's multi-purpose, you know?
That's why I've always wanted a Murphy bed. You know what a Murphy bed is?
Yeah, it's like a bed that like folds into the wall. Does it fold?
It's like, I mean, it can, if you get it implanted in your wall, you can, but like it's a bed, you know, like we've all had like grandparents who had like couches that fold out into a bed or like stuff like that, but it's like that, but instead of a couch, it's like a dresser. So like, yeah, sometimes like there are Murphy beds that are designed that when you fold them in, the bed is away and there's drawers that you can, it's just a dresser. Otherwise, there's like the bed folds in and then it's just like fake drawers, like that look like drawers, but like there's still counter space and stuff, and then it clears your entire room.
Yeah.
I've always wanted one of those, especially in terms of like having guests over.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, like
they
art
like
beds by day, and
where you, it's like a bed, but then there's like a second bed underneath the bed where you can just like pull it out too. One of my friends when I was younger, she had a bed like that. Where there's a bed on top of a bed and you just pull it out.
I've never seen that.
Yeah.
That's something that would be nice, especially with like having sleepovers, I feel like. Yeah, I always like multi-purpose stuff, and that's one thing I like about like art stuff. Like I feel like a lot of art supplies are so versatile that like you can use them for anything, and that's another reason why like everything is good the way it is scattered across the house, because like I said, there would be times where I would like try to put everything in one place, and then I would end up needing to pull it into the kitchen or the living room and I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm just gonna leave this here because I'll probably use it more when it's out here than if it's in storage, you know? And that's one thing I really like about artists. Like, you yourself are a do-it-yourself artist, and I feel like that's very common in a lot of artists because they're so used to using all of their stuff from many different things, and it lets them get experience in that way too. And yeah, I really respect artists for that reason particularly. Well, more obviously, but like if I had to pick one.
Yeah, I definitely have, because you were saying like you could have all your things everywhere, but then if you put them in one spot, then it's like it doesn't work. Or it just like isn't how you need it to be. I was definitely trying to put away some things last night, and I'm not kidding, like within 5 minutes I was back at that spot, and I looked over, I'm like, why did I put that where it goes? I need it here. You know, it's just like having these things in the spots because you know you're going to use them. You can't put them away because you know you're going to use them. or you know, need them or whichever.
Yeah, exactly. How do you stay organized digitally? I know, like, as an artist, especially in contemporary times, our work is like really surrounded with outreach and how you socialize yourself on social media and stuff like that. But I'm talking mostly like portfolio wise and stuff like that. Like, your work is a lot more different than like if someone were to be keeping files for a film or like pictures of stuff. It's like a lot different. So how do you keep yourself organized digitally, whether that be website, projects, portfolio, etc.?
Sure. So like a huge part of like making a physical craft and transforming it into the digital aspect, you know, online or portfolio is like, one, like you have to be able to recognize and to be aware of how to take good pictures of things with lightings and being aware of backgrounds or like proportions of photos. And I'm not like saying that you only always have to take these good quality pictures, but if you go on Instagram, that's how like the professionals are doing it, okay? And if you want yourself to be seen like in a professional manner, like that's one thing I learned like in college, like how to be like aware and to take good quality photos of things. And that's a job in itself, especially with something like such large as this.
Right.
That is like the only spot in my apartment where I have a space that big to hang something like that. And also it's apartment living, so I can't be putting holes in the wall everywhere.
Yeah.
So like
God,
having the space for it, having it be presentable, then, you know, you have to take the picture and then, well, maybe the lighting's off or maybe this looks crooked. I mean, that's like just taking pictures in itself is a task. But to get back to your question, organizing myself digitally, I suppose I have a file, you know, with all of, for the better part, for all of my good macrame pieces that I have. So I kind of know where they are. And then, you know, I have different folders for, you know, various other artsy things that I've done. Maybe not specifying in like macrame, but, you know, other things, stuff or metal stuff or whichever. I guess digitally organizing, I suppose, kind of really feeds into the idea of like social media and like the accessibility for others to view this or, you know, take an interest in it, you know, potentially purchase these items. It's definitely a skill that I am not so great at. I would not mind having somebody help me or assist me in the way of how to kind of improve or post, advertise, kind of to get other people's attention, get the audience group I'm looking for, you know, get me set up in a way where like I have a good footing, like I have good foundation of the social media like reach of things. But I guess it's just like doing it. You know, not every post has to be like the perfect post, but what I've watched videos on and what I've kind of like learned is like just being consistent in some sort of way. And I say that loosely because I'm not exact. I mean, I can't say I'm consistent every week I'm gonna post something, but I try and post lately. I try and post something at least like once a week, just so like it gets in others' news feed, other people's news feed, you know, so like, oh, they see it and then like, oh, well, next week they'll see it again and they'll see it again. So like just being consistent in the sense of like just doing it, because it really doesn't matter how good a video it is, how awesome a photo it is, how nice you're looking. It's just like the doing it part, like it doesn't matter. People don't really care like about those little details so much. Maybe professional portfolio wise, yes, but from an everyday people's perspective, they just want to see that you're doing something. You know,
Right.
if my hair is messy or my hair looks nice, they're gonna be like, well, that's Sienna. You know, like, you know, right? It doesn't matter. So I feel like just attempting to just go for it and just kind of do it, try your best, and you'll learn, you'll stumble, you'll fail, you'll improve, you'll succeed.
Rory's Room is written and produced by myself, Rori Nicole, and you can find the show wherever you get your podcasts. Theme songs and background music were produced by TJ Borkenhagen. You can follow Rory's Room on Instagram at Rory's Room, and follow me at itsrory_x for updates on the show and a few more glimpses in the life behind the mic. If you enjoyed today's episode, drop a review wherever you listened in. The goal of this show is to share my story and the stories of others in a way that makes people feel a little less alone. The next episode will be out April 19th, 2026, where we will be wrapping up our conversation with musician, producer, and songwriter TJ Borkenhagen. Tune in the following week, April 26th, for the final part of Sienna's episode. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you all next time in Rory's Room.